conquer and we're going to take some. Is that understood? Yes, sir. That's what we're going to do, sweetheart. We are going to go and get some. All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! What are you? What are you?
Read EP Magazine's February issue to learn tips for medical and dental visits with an individual with special needs. Also check out the military section. To read more, sign up for free today at www.epmagazine.com.
Monotony. It comes in all shapes and sizes. Dull, tedious, just plain boring. But what is this? A contender, perhaps? Something unboring by the looks of it. Jabs right at dull, an uppercut to tedium, something that keeps you on your toes, keeps your head on a swivel, a knockout punch to your old, boring workouts. Welcome to Fight Camp.
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of Reach Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, 2 Lives at Once. And with every wreath you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. 2 Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, 2 lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to reachacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's reachacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
I remember a time when I was in a not so good place, and these games and these activities and being able to come and have the camaraderie that we have here, it makes me feel like I'm not alone. There are people here that have been through what I've been through. It makes me feel like I don't know, I'm part of something great.
Just let yourself go. Give it a try.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis, Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce ASEC of ASEC Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my supporters, Cason Shaving Company and Exceptional Parent Magazine. I keep telling people it's all about the power of relationships, whether you're not a veteran or a veteran, whether you're serving in active duty or doing something else, whether you're teaching, banking, baking, whatever it is, it's the power of relationships. And my next guest embody that because of how we got connected. I want to welcome at this time, Jeff and Melanie Goldsmith, Oscar Mike Radio from On Mission Motorsports, where, wait a minute. On Mission Motorsports, On Mission, Oscar Mike Radio. Jeff, I think you were right. Welcome. I can't wait to get started.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
We're glad to be here.
So let's tell people how we got connected. And the common denominator here is Dr. Pam Arnell, who in her own way is truly on mission, or Oscar Mike. And so let's start with you all. How did you all meet Dr. Arnell?
Well, it's interesting. Last year or early this year, we had a veteran reach out that wanted to be part of the On Mission Motorsports racing. And her name was Tia. And on her email, when I responded to it, I saw a 22-0 at the bottom. So I decided to take a little peek into what that was all about. And at that point, I realized that Dr. Pam lived about 30 minutes from our house. So I ended up giving her a call and getting to know her a little bit and a little bit more about the program. So that's kind of how we got to know Dr. Pam.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of common denominators, I met Dr. Pam Arnell through TMA when we started talking about what 22-0 does. Yeah. So it's a real small world, Melanie and Jeff. It really is. And the mission of 22-0 is amazing. We are all three here of us ambassadors for the program. And then we all got on a Zoom, got to meet each other. And it's like, man, I'm really interested in what you all do with like racing cars, high adrenaline, kickstart my heart, and a little Motley Crue going through my head. And then the coup d'etat, the cherry on top, the period at the end of the sentence was, you all are talking about smoking cigars and enjoying a nice relaxing weekend. And I'm like, I'm there. I got to get to know them, got to talk to them. And here we are. So I got to have like the episode 0 origin story for both of you, and it's double the fun. Who wants to go first and kind of tell me, where you are and how you got connected with each other and, who you are?
So Jeff and I met almost 25 years ago in a leadership program, and eventually got married and have enjoyed a very long, happy marriage that will continue for a long time, I'm sure. But about 5 years ago, Jeff started to struggle a little bit with some of the situations that he encountered as a first responder. And it struck both of us in a way that we didn't know it was coming. And so through those experiences and then some other experiences, we were both kind of victims of the same trauma at the same time, and had been doing some work in our community with domestic violence offenders and anger management classes. And, that was outside both of our other day jobs, right? But we really had a couple of incidents ourselves with PTSD for Jeff. And then it kind of bled over into me as well. And we started thinking like, what do we need to do here? Like for us and for other people. And so we did some research and found that DOD for a long time has been promoting connections and camaraderie as like the leading way to help like bend the curve, if you will, for veteran suicide and, PTSD and suicidal thoughts and addictions as well. And so we're like, how can we take some of the things that we love and bring that into a positive adrenaline experience for the people that serve our country and our communities that very rarely, if ever, ask for help or want recognition for the work that they do. And so we came up with On Mission Motorsports, which puts veterans and active duty military, first responders, all law enforcement from TSA all the way to prison guards and deputies and cops that walk a beat, to retired Navy SEALs. And I mean, everybody, right? We put them in the co-driver's seat of an off-road race car for a positive adrenaline experience. I'm preaching to the choir to you and anybody listening that knows adrenaline for military persons and veterans and first responders is generally a negative thing. But that being said, that racing experience is very positive. And so they get the sense of the high adrenaline rush in a very positive atmosphere and experience. And we couple that with a weekend of camaraderie and smoking cigars and camping and sitting by the fire and telling war stories, right? And so we focus on the quality of those connections, not the quantity. So we're touching 5, 10, 15, 20 individuals per year, and staying connected to them. The folks that have been in any of our cars are part of our family. We talk with them all the time and we stay connected. So that's kind of the long version of how we got started. Hopefully that's helpful.
Oh, it is. And, before I get into Jeff, I'm reading more about what the VA says. They have the SAVES program now. And one of the commonalities with going down the suicidal path is isolation. And the real challenge now is if we can keep somebody from feeling or being isolated, highly unlikely if you're with a crew, with a group, with a clan, a tribe, that you're going to want to leave that tribe if you're welcomed and feel like you're have purpose in that tribe. So I definitely understand that. Jeff, you said you didn't serve in the military, but you are a first responder. And it's very interesting that, we're talking about that because a lot of times the focus is on veterans and PTSD, so on and so forth. But for a lot of first responders I talk to, especially those who serve in the military and then become in law enforcement or EMTs, firefighters, is we do our deployment when we come home. Whereas you all see this every day for every workday, every shift, sometimes multiple times. And so the mental load must be different for you all than it is for us at times.
Yeah, and when I first started in law enforcement many, many, many years ago, there was no such thing as PTSD. There was no such thing as mental health. It was suck it up, move on, put it in your black box, deal with it, and get to the next call. I mean, there was just no such thing. I know today it's changed drastically. A lot of agencies now have mental health programs and all kinds of great stuff for the officers, and I think that's really important. But for years, for myself, as Melanie stated earlier, I started, I guess the easiest way to say it is my black box opened. Pandora's box opened, and all of the bad death and things that I had seen over the years came out, and I couldn't put the box back together. So I really struggled for a long time, just like a lot of first responders do. So I went through all kinds of therapy and different things, and then I went through the 22-0 protocol, which has helped greatly. And I think that's really an important part of what we do with our program. And we talk about it openly with the heroes that are out with us, that it's okay to not be okay. People need to understand that. And it's hard being a man. We're supposed to be big, tough, and we handle it and we suck it up. But once that box opens up, it's mind blowing. As vivid as the things I'd seen, the death, I could not put it back together. So I think mental health is one of the most important things that we preach about to our heroes that are out with us. And it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
We're there for them. You're there. There's all kinds of great programs such as 22-0.
Well, I mean, I went through the 22-0 program as well to understand it. And, there was some unresolved trauma in my life that I'm like, this is a perfect time to handle it. And what a different kind of program when it comes to PTSD. And it certainly, improved my life and given me tools to deal with things when they come up again. Because I think you're right. It's okay to say, hey, I'm not okay, but I've got these tools to deal with things when they arise in my life, or if the past bubbles up, you can deal with it then and move on with your life. You go through this time of self-discovery and healing, Jeff. You have your wife with you. How is driving high performance, fast machines figure into all this?
Well, the backstory is back in 2019, I was heading out west from Tennessee to a race. My co-driver couldn't attend, so I didn't have a co-driver. Once I got out to California, there was a group out there that had a bunch of veterans, and they asked, would I mind putting a veteran in the car with me? So, of course, I said yes. And then as I'm walking away from the situation, I'm putting somebody with no skill, no knowledge in a off-road race car out in the middle of the desert But I'm like, let's run with it, see what happens, let's have fun. And once we got in the car, that individual, it brings back, I think, for both veterans and first responders, the team mentality, all of the training, the comms, the radios, the focus. So whether it be for a half an hour or for 5 hours in that co-driver's seat, they're back in the team, they're back on the mission, they're completely focused. And when this individual got out of the car, the smile on his face, and could not stop talking and laughing that whole night at the fire, I'm like, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever done. We have to start a program. We have to do this. So in 2021, we started On Mission Motorsports. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're funded only by donations from individuals, corporations, etc. But every year since then, as Melanie stated earlier, we've brought out between 15 and 25 heroes to races. Actually, in 2 weeks from today, we'll be in Texas. We're flying out 5 heroes from all over the country to meet us in Dallas, and we'll be doing a 12-hour race. So that we have 1 car running, 2 drivers, and we'll circle or put these 5 heroes in and out of the car for 12 hours straight. So nice. It's an amazing program. Everything we do is off-road racing. People always go, it's a side-by-side. It's like, no, it's a side-by-side on steroids. The best way to describe the cars, I'd say, is like, think Baja 1000.
Okay.
That's the type of vehicles we run. So it is an amazing thing, but it all goes back to that first veteran I had in the car and the experience he had and just the camaraderie I built with that individual. I was like, this makes a difference. And whether it makes a difference to 1 person or 50 people, that's all that matters.
Really, yeah, go ahead, Melanie. I'm sorry.
I distinctly remember we were racing in Georgia, and someone who just happened to be at the venue for another event kind of stumbled in and saw our banners and wandered over and asked how it was going. And we didn't realize that in that moment that particular person was a veteran and had severe PTSD. And she has given us permission to talk about this very openly, but she had very seriously contemplated taking her life multiple times up until that weekend that she kind of literally stumbled upon us. And she's been in the race car multiple times, and her family is part of our family. And she has been connected to 220. So, we don't just stop at the races. It doesn't end after the weekend. We stay connected. We help people find jobs. We use my day job in the health insurance industry and employee benefits to help people get connected to benefits they didn't know they had. We connect them with resources like Hero Wellness Collective and 220, and obviously you, just so that they know about all the people that want to help them and be a part of their healing journey. I think the reality is I've never met a veteran or a first responder that was unmotivated, but at times I think we all lose focus. And so being a part of that just focus-driven purpose is kind of like the adrenaline and the gas, if you will, to get people back on track. So it's fun. We love it.
So this is interesting. Talk to me about the team dynamic, husband and wife, between you all, because the reason I ask is a lot of times, you talk to a leader of a nonprofit or veteran-owned business, the veteran is the business owner and the spouse, male or female, is just there to, yay, honey, go on. But this is not this way with you all. Like, you all are a unit. So I kind of want to understand the team dynamics, because you don't see this a whole lot.
Well, I think the interesting thing, I would consider myself the logistical boots on the ground part of the organization. I've got the brain, but I have 0 technical skills. She has all the technical skills, handles all the spreadsheets, the website, getting in touch with heroes, a lot of these different things. I'm more of the hands-on, like in 10 days, start driving for 2 days to Texas with all the gear kind of guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he knows what radius rods are, and I know what SEO is, right? So we find a balance there, because I have a vested interest in his mental health, and he has a vested interest in my mental health. And he knows that I thrive when I'm being creative and working on the website, doing social media, communicating with our mission clients and the heroes. And he thrives when he gets to put radius rods where they go, and put the comms in the helmets and do that stuff. And so it works really well for us, as a couple, as kind of the bones and the behind the scenes, of the organization. We stop it. Yeah, and we can do this, right? So we can cut up together, we can have fun together, because every minute that we spend working together for On Mission, we're spending that time together, and it's helpful and healing for both of us in a number of ways.
Killing me, Melanie. I'm an anti-marriage kind of guy, and you guys have been doing this for 25 years. I got to rethink my parameters here. Well, but it's just really great to see, because there's some veterans who start their own business or nonprofits, and the spouse is not supportive, and it makes it exponentially more difficult to have a successful outcome. Talk to me about the car, Jeff. Like if I could get in this thing, I don't know if I could, but
Yeah.
how's it set up? What kind of engine, drivetrain? Is it manual? Like, give me the deets, dude.
Well, the car I'm running right now, or was running, there's a backstory to that. It's a Polaris Pro R. It's a 4-cylinder, so it's basically got about a Honda or a Toyota size motor in it. I mean, we can top out at about 110, 120 miles an hour through the desert. Each car.
Your eyes just lit up. I saw that.
Yes, they did.
And there has been times where I've done that. Each car, the individual cars are owned by the team drivers. So they're donating their car and their time. But we have safety requirements, because the only thing that we can control is safety. So On Mission Motorsports invests in the best fire suits, the best fire shoes, gloves, the best helmets, neck restraints. So once we get you all geared up in all of that, we strap your happy butt into the car seat. All cars are equipped with 5-point harnesses. Once you were completely strapped into that car, you were then a part of the car. You cannot move. You cannot pull forward or anything else. We have comm systems that's connected to the helmets, and an air pumper system which pumps fresh air in, helps keep the dust down. And during the entire race, you have direct communication with the driver and co-driver. So they've got an open mic between the driver and co-driver, as well as a radio back to the pits. So the co-driver hero, like yourself, would be in charge of, let's say in the desert, calling out turns. So you'll have a GPS big screen in front of you, and there'll be a map on it, plus there's markings out there. So you're telling the driver, okay, we've got a hard right coming up, we've got a rock section coming up, danger section, and then you communicating to the pits. We usually like every 5 miles or so for the co-driver to call out mile marker 5, mile marker 10. It gives the pits a good idea if something happened, where you're located on the course. So it's just a moving thing, but it just depends on the car, but the speeds can be there. I always say, especially for desert, in the Texas Southeast, it's a little slower, it's woods racing. But out in the desert, that's where you really can get high speeds, rock sections, sand sections, lake beds. You can get every aspect of racing in one day. You never know for that particular series what that course is going to look like until you get out there and do your first lap.
Wow. Melanie, to get all these assets, variables in place, it's got to be like herding cats sometimes. Like, how do you track the data, make sure people where they need to be, and keep everything on time, on budget? That's what I want to know, because, with no hero, no car, no fuel, no one's going anywhere.
Yeah. So we have refined our process over the years, right? So when we first got started, we did a lot of learning. So we definitely walked before we pressed the gas and started flying through the desert. But it takes just deliberate focus on what we know to be like the end to end, right? So I'm a big fan of mapping out processes and knowing, what we need to do. It drives him nuts because he's like, can we just show up and do it? I'm like, no, you can't just show up and do it. We have to check all the boxes off and get it all done. So a lot of it is just muscle memory for me because I've been through this so many times. We make that initial connection with someone. We don't have like a formal vetting process. Like if somebody says they're a veteran or first responder, we're not going to ask them to prove it with like some kind of card or ID and says whatever, right? So we get them in, we get their contact information. I connect if they have a significant other or children, all of the members of the family. We promote their service on social media in advance of the race and let them know that they're not only going to have this experience, but we also want the world to know what these folks have done for their country or their community. And we promote them and their family and everything. Then like throughout the races, we have logistics. Like you think a weekend of camping and racing, but you got food, you got water, you got to make sure people are like power bars. And if they have any dietary restrictions or, physical limitations. We had a 70-plus-year-old Vietnam vet in a race one year and his son also. And he was like, I just sign me up now. If anybody like doesn't want to do their full lap, I'll get back in. Like it was just knowing these things about people and ahead of time. And I think it just goes back to staying true to our mission. So if you look at our logo, you can see the checkered flag, you can see the tachometer, but the reality is our sights aren't on victory. Our sights are on including and important experiences for those people that leave them with no other feeling except this was the best time of their life, right? It is highly experiential from every facet of communication to getting in the car to the traveling, like all of it. And so our sights are on those positive adrenaline experiences that make people feel included and important. And that's what we're all about.
And let me piggyback for a second on what she said. This was 2 years ago in Texas for the 12-hour race. We had a bunch of heroes out with us, and one of them was a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran, Huey pilot. And it was so muddy and so rainy and so nasty. All the young vets that we had out there, the 35, 40-year-olds, after a couple hours are like, I'm done. I'm not getting back in that car. And Charles already had his time in the car, and we were just hanging out by the fire trying to stay warm. And the car came back in, and the vet said, I'm out, and I need somebody in this car. And I looked at Charles and I said, you want to get back in? And he said, can I? And I'm like, yeah. So he just stood there and go put your fire suit back on. We got him back in the car. He finished the race. We literally had to pull him out of the car. His shield was completely fogged up. He could not see. And as soon as he got that helmet off, he could not stop smiling. And he told me after a couple weeks after we got back, he said, Jeff, this was the best weekend I've had in 40 years.
Awesome.
And that's why we do it. The logistics leading up to it, this race in 2 weeks, the 12-hour race, I've been working on that for 6 months. We've been working on that for 6 months. And you do get to the point, it's like, why do we do this? But when you start seeing the looks and the smiles, it smiles for miles. And at the end of the day, it goes, okay, we're going to do it again. Let's keep doing it.
Nice. Speaking of helmet, I wear a size 8 fitted hat, and I wear a 4, sometimes 5X motorcycle helmet. Like I can get my helmet right now and show you, like I'm not kidding. How would you get a helmet to fit my head?
Well, we have, believe it or not, right now we have.
Or should I just bring my motorcycle helmet?
No, because you want comms and pumper.
Okay.
we have all sizes, and that's one of the biggest challenges we face from a financial standpoint as an organization is having the different sizes. We've had last year in November for the 3-day race, we had a LA County Sheriff's deputy, and this guy was a monster. I put him in a XX fire suit, and he's like, no. We had to put him in a 2-piece 4X fire suit, and still it was like, it's not perfect, but we're gonna do it. So we have all sizes. We're actually right now budgeting to replace 5 of the helmets we have, and that's in the racing world. There's SFI ratings and Snell ratings, and they expire.
Yep.
In the racing world right now, some of the stuff from the last 5 years, the Snell ratings has changed, so now we have to replace them. Again, the only thing we can really control is being sure we have the best possible gear, the safest possible gear out there. And as Melanie alluded to, I remind our drivers, myself included, because once you hit the staging and you're in line and you're next up and you're sitting there and you got the guy coming up and talking to you, then the lights are changing and it hits green. As a driver, you adrenaline and it's throttle down. January, I had a female vet with me, and we weren't a quarter mile into the race, and I was just wide open, adrenaline pumping, and she called out a hard left, and I hit that left, and I put that car on 2 wheels, and the only thing I could think in my head is, we're not even a mile in, and I'm going to put us on our lid. But it was at that point I said, Jeff, this isn't about you. This isn't about winning. It's about the experience for them.
Well, speaking of,
go ahead.
Speaking of experience, have you two raced together?
No. No. Dude, I do not like the loud, like it's very loud, right? So it's loud and it's, it's not like driving in a car going 60 miles or 80 miles an hour because I can do that, right? Because there's windows and doors, but in these side-by-side, the off-road cars, it's all open. Like there's a net for a window and like kind of a windshield. So for me, that's a hard no. Like I'm not getting, I get in the car. Don't get me wrong. I love a photo op. I get in the car. I can ride around town and do a parade, but I don't like to go fast in that car. And I don't like for him. I don't even like it when he drives on the freeway with me. So racetrack, not so much.
We took her out in Georgia. We were doing a little test and tune, just the team. And I took her for a ride, and I wasn't even doing 40 miles an hour down this trail. And she's like, you're going way too fast. You're going way too fast.
Yep.
Take me back to camp. I'm like, okie dokie.
Yep.
Teamwork, making the dream work. I love it. I love it. What's it been like, shifting gears a little bit, pun intended, to align with, collaborate with someone like Dr. Arnell from 22-0 and, expand your mission and bring what she offers into what you all do?
Well, I think the fun fact is in March of this year, we actually brought the entire 22-0 team out to Georgia for a race.
We put Dr. Pam in a car.
How did that go?
Well, she doesn't like mud, so she didn't appreciate the fact that it had been raining all weekend, but she had a blast. She had a lot of fun. I mean, and the smiles, I mean, she's a first responder. I'll always think of her as a first responder. She had a blast and she loved it. And I think the collaboration with Dr. Pam and 22-0 has been a game changer for us because we get to expand the resources that we provide. And we also have like the bat phone if we have somebody in crisis. We can connect them directly to Dr. Pam and the program in crisis and or for the protocol and the therapy to heal them and their families. And so that's been a game changer for us because we're clearly not doctors.
And it's just another tool in our tool belt. Again, what we do with our mission is it's not a one and done. So it gives us another opportunity to continue reaching out to see people. And if somebody's struggling or just needs help, we have another tool that we can use for them. We've got many people that come out as a co-driver and then continue coming out to the races because they just like being part of the team. They'll sit in the pits and work the pits.
Yeah.
They'll come out and just want to do the cooking or the barbecuing. It's just, once they experience the team, they want that again and again.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I got to talk to you guys about cigars. I mean, I started smoking cigars in the Marine Corps. It was a great way to, one, have my fellow Marines stay away from me for a little while when I need a break from them. And two, it's a great bug deterrent in certain situations. So I just never really quit, but I'm just curious what you all enjoy and how you all got into it.
Well, I think we like to call it the cigar hour. So it's every evening, 5 o'clock-ish. We can sit out back and have a cigar and just kind of relax, unwind, talk about the day. But we like, I've got 3 Pelican cases filled with everything out there you could ever want. I think one of our favorites now is the Oliva Melanio.
Okay.
Any of my father's cigars, Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, the Decades. It's like food. There's just so many choices.
Funny story. I was traveling for work this last week, and since we didn't get to do cigar hour together, we kind of do it virtually. So I sit out in the hotel, and there was a fire pit, and it was kind of cool outside. And I was sitting there having my cigar and talking to Jeff, and these 3 guys walked up, and they're like, "Hey, can we smoke a cigar?" And I'm like, "Sure," because that's what I'm doing, right? And they're like, "Well, we have this box of Cohibas. Do you want one from Cuba?" And I was like, "You've got Cubans? We're in the middle of California." And they're like, "Yeah, we got a box here." And they brought it out, and they're like, "Do you want one?" I'm like, "Sure." And I was like, "These aren't real, dude. You don't know that these aren't real? Like, how do you not know that these aren't real?" But I told Jeff about it, and he was like, "So you smoked another fake Cohiba?" And I was like, "Yeah." But they thought it was real, so I let them have it.
When it's California, oh yeah, these are real. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not.
Well, the hard part is, and I've got one left, a part of this series P. When we were on a cruise a few years ago, I bought a box of 10 from La Casa de Habano, which is the only authorized Cuban retailer. And I always tell everybody when I got this box in Mexico, it was only $150. I'm like, 10 series P's was $480. If you bought a box in Mexico and you didn't pay at least $800 for it, you don't have real. But if it makes you happy, enjoy
Go
it.
for it. Yep.
No, for me right now, I like my Maker's Mark. I like that one, and I'm a big Drew Estates fan.
Okay.
I like a lot of their stuff. So, but it's more or less the time, like you said, to sit there, relax, and if you find somebody that really enjoys them with you, all the better.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. It is just that time to wind down and relax. It gives you an hour and a half of nothing but reflection, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, would you all say that 2024, meaning Dr. Arnell having 22-0 out, doing your mission with TMA, that this has been a successful year for On Mission Motorsports?
Absolutely. I mean, we knew going into 2024 is going to be a tough year for a lot of people for a number of different reasons. There's been a lot going on in our country and our communities. And so we deliberately scaled back the number of races that we did. It was a hard fundraising year. So all those helmets, as you know, are super expensive, and the safety equipment. It's been a hard fundraising year. So we fell short of some of our fundraising goals. But we're full steam ahead for next year. We've got a race calendar that is almost ready to be published, and commitments from folks, individuals, and organizations that want to continue supporting us. And so we're going to maybe approach fundraising a little bit differently this year, given that we have board members all over the country, and it's hard to do like an event-based thing. But we're full steam ahead. Like, it's been a challenging year. It's been a fun year. Of collaboration with Dr. Pam and 22-0, with you and Hero Wellness Collective. Like, we have had a fabulous year, and it's been good for us personally, because coming back home to California means that we get to spend a lot more time with our kids and grandkids, and so we're just pleased.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Um, so you got a full throttle for 2025. You had a great 2024. Um, Closing this down, what advice would you give for the first responder or veteran who's maybe on the fence about doing this kind of thing? They've been isolated and they're kind of apprehensive of getting out of their shell or getting into a vehicle like this, and they're not really sure what this is going to be like. What would you say to them?
I would say contact us, come out. We've had people, it's happened multiple times, that they've gotten into the car. I can think of two right off the top of my head that we're in staging, geared up, suited up, helmet on, just sitting there waiting, moving in line. And I can hear the breathing going on through the comms. And I know they're not comfortable. And I always say, if at any point during a race, if you want out of the car, you just tell me, I will pull the car off the track, we'll find a trail back, I will get you out. We've had people that all intentions of getting in the car, and once they put the helmet and neck gear and everything on, they're standing there going, I can't do it. And that's fine. But they're like, can I still help out in the pits? Can I? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll find something and keep the teamwork, the camaraderie, the connectedness going. You don't have to get in the car. I think the key for us is everything we do for our heroes that come out, we do at no cost to them. So like Texas, we're flying people out. We're taking care of the house, the food, transportation, everything. And that's what we want to continue to do is to be able to offer this service, although there is a limited number of opportunities, but offer it at no cost to them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get in the car.
So there's no financial barrier for anybody who wants to even try it, right? So if they ultimately don't get in the car, no harm, no foul, they're still going to have a fun weekend of camping and cigars and connections and stories, right? And that's still the team focus. So I think that the recommendation or the advice would be give it a shot. Like there's nothing to lose. Doesn't cost you anything, but your time to come down and be part of it or come out and be part of it. In worst case scenario, you make a couple new friends. So what's wrong with increasing your tribe? And
Nothing.
yeah, so just
Well,
give it.
well, my tribe has certainly been increased, meeting Tia, talking with her, meeting Dr. Arnell and 220 people, and then getting to talk with you all. And I hope that conversation continues. But again, it's just really interesting how you use what you have. And this is the other thing too, Melanie, a lot of women come up to me and say, I want to advocate for veterans, but I'm not really sure, one, if I'll be accepted, or two, how to even do it. I'm like, well, there's all kinds of skills that you have that, guys like us need, and women too. You can find a place and be welcomed and be valued and have purpose if you want to put yourself out there. So I just think for both of you, it's like, 25 years married, kids, grandkids, the whole 9 yards. I don't know, Jeff. I mean, speed doesn't kill. It's just the sudden stop that kills. So, I mean, what's ever wrong with going faster?
Exactly.
I can't find a negative answer for that. I mean, you just can't go fast enough.
The only thing we have is time, and time goes away. So get out there, do it, have fun, and enjoy the ride.
For sure. For sure. Well, look, Dr. Arnell, if you're watching this, which, you've been a great supporter of Oscar Mike Radio, this is, I think, the vision that you told me you had for the ambassadorship program. Melanie, Jeff, and I are proud to be 220 ambassadors. It's great getting to learn about your organization, Jeff and Melanie. You're truly on the move. You're truly Oscar Mike. And I cannot wait to see what else On Mission Motorsports is going to do in the future. And I can't wait to have a cigar with you guys soon.
Yeah, you're getting in a car, dude. It's going to happen.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we got some sizing issues to work out before we do that, but I'll get with you. We'll make that happen.
It's my problem, not your problem.
Well, I got broad shoulders, Jeff. Like everything is big.
That's okay. We can handle big. We'll get it done.
I'm gonna unbalance the car. I mean, I'm gonna throw I'm just saying, you seem confident, so I'm going to trust you, but I'm going to go out and have a good time.
These cars have 4 or 5 feet worth of suspension travel. Believe me, it won't be an issue.
And mud, cold, snow, rain. I'm a Marine. No big deal. Let's just do it. So
see, as a Marine, and if nothing else, we'll bring a bunch of crayons. You'll have a great time.
that was way after my time. I don't know what people. I heard about that. I'm like, I was not during my time. But okay, fine. Maybe I'll bring some like Crayola stickers for my helmet or something. We'll figure it out. Well, folks, there you go. It's about the power of relationships. It's about the power of taking what you have and advocating for others. And again, Dr. Arnell is a civilian, but to your point, Melanie, she's one of us. And I'm really glad that we have people like you all to advocate for us. I'm Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. I love talking with Jeff and Melanie from On Mission Motorsports. They're truly Oscar Mike. Dr. Arnell, we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. We're Mission in Flight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The biggest fear Goldstaff families have that their child will be forgotten.
We need to never forget freedom wasn't free.
It's the fact that they give us the life we have now. We should remember them and give thanks to them.
If I can be a part of something today that's going to make the surviving family of any of these veterans, these heroes, feel better tomorrow, then it's worth it.
That one wreath symbolizes one family that was able to smile because of the generous donations.
To sponsor a wreath and honor a veteran, visit wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinista One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.